Stole rats. Hi, I'm Brian with Bowen Aero LLC, and we're a dealer for Behringer brake systems. If you guys are looking to put one of these outstanding lightweight braking systems on your airplane, give me a call at 541-840-7400, or you can email me at bowenaero@yahoo.com, and I'll take a look at your specific airplane application, get you a quote, and then we can figure out what's best for you guys moving forward putting one of these systems on your plane. So give me a call, and let's get these brake systems on your plane. I'm going to go ahead and mount up Teal Jenkins SkyTrax gearbox. I'm going to put it up on here. I've never done it before, so I've got the directions. It started out, I'm going to take these 6 bolts out. Started doing that already. So that's the very first step. I'm working on that. So I'm going to try to find a good angle for the camera, and you guys can watch as I try to install this gearbox. So we're going to start with these 6 bolts coming out of the front output case. The wrench, and it's going to be a number 10 millimeter socket. Alright, so now we got to remove the sealing washers on the bearing retainer. Imagine that would come off with the case. So we may come back to that. Now we're going to remove all the perimeter fasteners from the output drive cover and retain the fasteners for later use. Okay, so that's these ones here. So we're not going to reuse those ones I just took off, so I'll place them over here. Alright, so we remove the output drive cover and clean the engine block mating surface of any residual gasket material. Ensure the 2 dowel pins are installed on the engine side. If not, then remove them from the cover and install them on the engine. It's good to read ahead one step because there are dowels in here. There we go. Alright, the pins that he's talking about, one of them's right here, and one of them's right there. So the pin did stay, one of them stayed with the cover. Gasket came off fairly clean. Clean the engine block mating surface of any residual gasket material. Alright, the go-to cleaner is acetone. Around here anyways. Can't get MEK in California anymore, and it's pretty nasty stuff. That's probably why. Sure, the 2 dowel pins, so we got one here, are installed on the engine side and not removed with the cover. So the orientation of the lip seal on the output shaft, note the orientation of the lip seal on the output shaft and remove it. Basically what we're talking about in his kit got this seal. I need to get that other one out. That's probably one of those things that's going to be a real struggle, and I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to do that. I'm going to stop the camera and then I'll show you what I did when I get it out, because I have no idea what I'm going to do to get it out right now. Okay, so I used this little pick tool, stuck it in there and just pried back, pulled that out. And when he was talking about the orientation, I didn't think he just meant which side goes in, which side goes out. So it said, note the orientation of the lip seal on the output shaft and remove it. Install the new seal in the kit in the opposite orientation as the stock seal that was removed. Seal lip will be facing out. Okay, there's got to be a reason for that. Don't know what it is. It's probably so that the oil stays in the gearbox, doesn't transfer into here. So, clean it up good first. Okay, so I got this old pipe coupler, just PVC pipe. Got a hole in the back that should slide over that. Might not clear completely, and then I'm just going to drive that with a socket set. So again, opposite orientation of the seal. Get started in there. Okay, I'm happy with that. Remove and discard the two M6 bolts that are facing the head, or they're fastening the head to the cylinder. I think he's talking about these two. It's fine, because I had those out earlier for my, when I had the mock-up flange, that's where that connected in there. Of course that broke because it wasn't fastened very well. Need to separate the two halves of the SkyTrax gearbox by removing the perimeter fasteners. And it goes on to say, if you're going to install a temperature sending unit on the gearbox, remove the 1/8 inch NPT plug on the back side of the gearbox and install the sending unit at this time. I do want to do that. I don't have one though. 1/8 inch NPT plug in the back of the gearbox. So this may have to come off again before we actually fly it, because I do want to put a gearbox temperature sensor in there. So right now I'm going to go ahead and remove these all these face screws off of the, hopefully you can see that, off the gearbox. In order to do this, I'm actually going to go put it on the bench real quick. I'll get it apart and come back. Keep it real with the bench here. It's a mess because I am currently covering right now also, so this is kind of a side project. Right off, did use a little bit of heat. That heat was applied directly to the label. That helped loosen up that shaft coming out right there. So taking a look at the inside of this for the first time, it is really cool, very neat. So here's your sprag clutch. This is the part that I just hand hold it. So you can see these little bearings in here that have a slight lip on them. That's what was changed slightly between the original and then I sent it back. He made that a little bit tighter tolerance in there for that, so that's the sprag clutch. Okay, so back to the directions, and we're going to probably take this back half over with us. Okay, so after removing taking the two cases apart, install a new gasket on the engine block. And orient the bearing retainer bolt holes to the orientation that they are in on the gearbox by positioning the back half of the engine close to its fit on the engine, but not engaging the bearing retainer yet. As part number, And I'm going to order about 3 or 4 of these, so that if I have to take it apart to do anything like add that temperature sensor, I won't be out of stock on these. Good. So that's going to go like that. This is probably what the spot they're talking about with the sensor for the temperature. You see right there, that comes out and you put a sensor in right there. Okay, so we want to align this guy to line up with a couple of these holes, I think. Okay, so got it pretty close to the point where I can probably take this and there we go. Get it lined up real good. Okay, so let's see what the next step is. Once the bearing retainer bolt holes align with the bolt holes in the gearbox, push the gearbox onto the engine. The hose on the water pump may be removed to aid in the installation and replaced after gearbox mount. That's that one right there that I just pushed out of the way. It was a little bit in the way, but apply medium strength thread locker Loctite 242 equivalent to the supplied 6mm socket head cap screws and install them into the bearing retainer. Torque to 9 foot-pounds or 180 inch-pounds. Okay, so I got some 242 thread lock and a torque wrench with the proper fitting on the end. So I'll go ahead and get these 6, what are we calling? We're calling them the bearing retainer. Those are going to be here, 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 and there. We might have to pull this off. Didn't say anything about that. We're going to take this gear off to get to those. So I'm going to set that down real carefully. Okay, so those are all torqued to the 9 pounds. Next up, we've got verify the output shaft taper is clean of any oil or foreign material. Install the supplied drive gear on the output shaft. Apply medium strength thread locker to the drive gear bolt and install. Torque to 40 foot-pounds. Okay, I'm going to set this one back on there. So I did get this quite a few months ago, so there's a little bit of a couple corrosion spots on here. I'm just hitting it real quick with a Scotch-Brite pad and knock that corrosion off. There's your drive gear. Okay. We'll get the socket for this. For those of you keeping track, that's 19mm. Okay, we're going to apply medium strength 242 Loctite to that. And we're going to bump that up to 40 foot-pounds. So I swapped out the battery. My GoPro overheated. It's really hot. I don't know what the deal is with that. So I'm just going to set it on the shelf instead of putting it in the case that I had it in. The case is causing it to get hot here. Okay, so I'm torquing on this front bolt. The problem I have now is it's turning over the engine before I reach the 40 pounds of torque. So What is the best way to prevent that from happening? So I need to find something soft made out of brass that I can stick in there. It's kind of risky to do this. That worked. So a little brass rod, torqued it right up. Okay, install the supplied head bracket. So remember when we removed these two bolts from back here, there's a little bracket that's going to drop in there that then connects to the engine, and then this one connects to the gearbox here. Very slick. Okay. Head bracket, torque the 6mm bolts to 9 foot-pounds and the 8mm to 15. Okay, so that's going to go in there. Okay, so here's a shot of that bracket. These are the two bolts that were removed from the head, and then this bolt goes into the case. I'll back out and show you what it does. Holds the top part of the gearbox, keeps it from having that pulling force out away from the engine, because otherwise it's only fastened down here on the lower portion. So that bracket's really important, gives it lots of strength. Great idea. Install the perimeter seal O-ring on the front half of the gearbox. RTV may be used to hold O-ring in place, but is not required. Ensure the O-ring ends are butted up to each other. Look at the other half. Alright, so real quick, I took the front half back off here, and I imagine behind this gear, here, and here, is where these remaining 4 bolts that came off the original cover go in. Those are the ones I missed. So let me go ahead and put those back on. Hopefully you can see with that. I'll get these in and then get it buttoned back up again so I can go to bed. Okay, so I got that on there. Tighten it down. Now we gotta put the gear back on. Okay, front half's ready to go back on. Just gotta watch this O-ring seal. It's a pain in the butt. Okay. Okay, so I'm holding that O-ring with this little tool. Lickety splickety, we're back at it. Again, tap it on that label. That's where that bearing needs to go in, but we heat it up to get it off. And there we have it. The gearbox is on. So just go around and put all those screws back in. I believe is it. So install the perimeter fasteners and washers, torque to 9 pounds, remove the vent and fill level plug. Sure the drain plug is tight, and using good mechanical judgment, fill gearbox through vent port until oil is coming out. Fill level port. Use the GL5 rated gear oil of your choice. Synthetic oils are not recommended at this time because of the lack of testing with synthetic oils. Replace the vent plug and fill plug. Vented fill plug. Tighten using good judgment. The gearbox is now ready to use after the first 5 hours of runtime. Replace the gear oil and verify torque on the exposed gearbox to engine bolts. If any movement is noticed, then open the gearbox and verify the torque on the internal gearbox to engine bolts. Verify torque on the housing perimeter fasteners. Okay, so the only thing that we didn't do is remove this 1/8 back here, which still can be done. That's where the temperature sensor is going to go in. I can still get to that, I think. So other than that, I'm going to put all the screws back in the face and torque those down and hope that that O-ring got in the right place. Alright guys, just want to do a follow-up on that temperature sensor port on the back of the SkyTrax gearbox. You can see I went ahead and purchased a 1/8 MPT temperature sensor, removed the plug, and then went ahead and put that in. It can be done just fine once the gearbox is already on the engine. Just using a standard Allen wrench can take the plug out, and there you have it. The gearbox is complete. Quick, just wanted to show a couple things. This is the battery box out of the sled. I trimmed off all the unnecessary parts. So it'll work real good. I can mount it on the firewall here, here, or on the other side. So that's going to be handy. Weighs about nothing. Let's take a good look at my engine mount. Ken Brown helped me out with this. Meaning he made it, put it in the computer, designed it. I had a couple tweaks I needed to do to it when I got back. I had to cut up some of it and weld it. Mostly had to move crossbars back here. We're a little too close. But man, it really came out nice. The whole thing weighs 6 pounds. It's made out of chromoly. Just got some of the stuff hanging off of it right now. I got to figure out where all this goes as far as where I'm going to position everything. But the engine mount is really stout. He load tested it to 6 G's to check the deflection. I got a couple gussets I'm going to put back in on this side. But that's about it. So the gearbox is on. Starting to look really nice on there. So anyway, so that wraps up how to install the gearbox onto the APEX motor. If you guys have any questions, throw it in the comment section. I'll try to answer them. It was pretty straightforward. The only special tools you need is a torque wrench, a pick tool to get that seal out, some RTV to help hold that O-ring in place, and some Loctite. Other than that, you need a nice set of metric tools, metric Allen wrench, a long metric Allen wrench with a socket on it so you can torque would be really nice. I don't know if they make really long ones, but that would be something I would definitely look for at your local Harbor Freight or something, because you wouldn't use it very often. But that's it. Sorry about the messy shop. This is the way I'm working right now. I've got covering project going on. I just finished working on the engine mount, so I've got welding stuff out. It's an absolute disaster in here. I don't like to work with a shop being this dirty. Tools spread out everywhere, and but I'm jumping back and forth. That way I can let stuff dry on the covering and still keep working on something else. So been out here all day. Got this stuff done. Finished up the rudder completely, which is over here, and about halfway done taping the elevator. So the covering's coming along slow, but I'm getting there, so I'll post up a video on how to do the covering here before too long. But that's it. So wrapping this one up. Hope you guys enjoyed that and use it as a reference for when you put your gearbox on your Apex.
Very